Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant. That
Okay,
should not have been as hard as that was. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we saved you from fake British accents. Don't ask why, because we don't know why.
Although we're saving that on the outtake reel.
Yeah, no question.
I have really tried to not say Happy New Year to anybody, even though people have said Happy New Year. I'm like, yeah, hi.
We're still in the window. It's only as we record this. It's
I
January 3rd.
didn't want to say it at all to anybody, so I'm not saying it.
Because you're a miserable bastard.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do either of you still write checks for anything?
I write one check.
It's a rare occasion these days, yeah.
Do you think your first check you're going to get the year wrong? Because that's like almost a tradition for me.
I'll tell you why. I wrote my one monthly check on the 31st, and the next one will be not till probably February, so it'll probably be...
So you probably say, my dry cleaner is, I think, the only place I write checks. Yeah.
They don't take credit cards?
Okay. A, who goes to a dry cleaner? B, who writes a check to a store? And C, how does he not take credit cards?
Because he doesn't, and yeah. Anyways, but yeah. So
I mean, I still go to a dry cleaner on occasion, but I use a credit card.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: while we're on this subject, even in the before times, I don't think I ever wrote a check for anything other than mailing a bill. I would never go to any establishment.
Same. I never carried a checkbook with me when I went shopping.
Never. But you see people going to like Acme and they're writing a check. Do you guys do that?
Not recently. I was part of my work wardrobe is like dress shirts and a blue blazer, and that's just for like certain events that happen a lot, and those go to the dry cleaners, and so I have there's shirt laundry, and like I said, I send my blazer like every other month. And so that's, like I said, the only thing I write a check for. This guy's within a stone's throw of retirement, and I think when that happens...
Dave, only in rural Massachusetts can you run a business, like a dry cleaning business, and not take credit cards.
You know what? There's another one on the other side of town that charges twice as much, so I suspect most of his business is probably cash, and there's a good reason for that.
Yeah. So, he's laundering money.
Yeah.
The guy's laundering money.
I actually think I've seen people walk through, go into the back room, and never come back. I think he's actually the entrance to the uncle offices. So
maybe, nice. or maybe they work with your former neighbor.
Yeah.
You never know. So anyway, if you're ready to check, let us know.
I'm actually buying something from somebody that I have to go this weekend to the post office because they only want a postal money order. That's also been 20 years since
I remember when you were getting money orders all the time.
Every week, I'd be getting postal money orders and mailing them off.
On one of the gun forums that I belong to, there's like a buy-sell thing, and I was going to buy something one time, and the guy said, yeah, you got to, I said, do it, PayPal or Venmo. He said, no, I don't do any of that. You got to send me a postal money order. And I'm like, I don't want it that bad. It was some accessory.
Well, I'm not going to say what it is because I will talk about it in an upcoming show, but something that goes way, 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 way back to the early days of my G.I. Joe collecting that I've wanted for a really long time.
Cool.
And a friend of ours helped me track it down, and it's from an old school G.I. Joe collector who still is operating as if it was like 1990.
That is when I gotta say that is when I did that. It was back in the 90s and into the early 2000s when
that's all you could do on eBay
when you
back
responded to someone's toy shop ad and
Yep.
There you go. Well, that's a little walk down memory lane between checks and money orders.
Yeah. Well, if you're still listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Still listening.
Welcome to 2024.
Yeah, 2024. So we're going to, if you didn't listen to our Christmas episode, check that out. That's episode 507.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we had the wives on.
Yeah, that was kind of a interesting thing. But we're going to talk about Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, whatever.
Part
There'll be
one.
Spoilers.
Just to be clear, this is the first release of Rebel Moon. We'll probably do another podcast when the 3.5-hour version comes out. So stay tuned.
There's an R-rated version supposedly coming.
That's the director's cut is the R-rated version.
Well, I'm gonna talk about it now. Then I don't even. He is completely in control of this thing. Why does he need a director's cut?
Exactly.
Because I think they wanted a 2 hour-ish version for the masses, and then they wanted a longer, or he wanted a longer version, and Netflix. I'm speculating. I'm guessing he was like, it's a 4 hour movie, and Netflix was like, give us a 2 hour PG cut, and then you can do whatever the hell you want.
But then there's a second half.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I would bet you it was. We could market this twice, and we could get certain. They're
going to market it 4 times.
I know, but I'm saying I cannot imagine.
3 months later, we're getting part 1, the director's cut, and then we're getting part 2, and then we're getting a part 2 director's cut.
I cannot imagine Netflix was saying to him, "Oh, you've got to cut after the whole DC thing. If you turn this thing in at over 2 hours and 30 minutes, we're not going to play it." This is just, yeah.
Well, and we're going to talk about this movie
eventually,
at length,
yes.
But from what I've read or what I've heard, the director's cut they're saying is a totally different movie. So
Jesus,
we'll see.
Okay, yeah, we'll get there.
If he had it pulled out of his hands by the studio, okay, fine. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah.
No.
Whatever. Anyway, let's do some random. We'll take a break from this nonsense, and then we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Todd, what do you got?
So, one of the best liked and best reviewed shows of 2023, I'm talking about, of course, Slow Horses, is already renewed for a 5th season before the 4th season airs. You can just imagine
And the 3rd season hasn't even ended.
So, it has. The 3rd season's already over.
Whatever.
So, but, yeah. So, it's
awesome.
There you go.
It was
Barry,
this season was
you
great.
Want to jump in on that at all?
And just it just keeps getting better. So
it still doesn't make me want to watch it, but
okay. Well,
good.
Again,
I'm glad for those of you that love it. I'm glad.
Which is basically everybody but Dave. Yeah. So again,
everybody.
No, seriously.
Seriously,
Google,
6.5 billion people
Google
other
the
than
show
me?
and find a bad review of it.
I'm not saying.
No.
I just don't. Doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. No, I get that. So.
Okay. Barry, do you not have anything?
I got nothing.
You want to talk about Willow while we're on the subject?
I love Willow. Willow's a great
boring
movie.
stuff. No, the TV
show.
show.
Oh, the TV show. Yeah, not so much.
Okay, I read this thing yesterday. So, filming of Fantastic Four is supposed to start in May of 24. So that's relatively soon. And then in that same article, and I know we sort of touched on this, but I didn't know it was confirmed. Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards. That said in the article confirmed.
I have not heard that confirmed, but
I have not either.
It said in this article that was on Geek Tyrant. I know we talked. He's terrific. I don't get it though. He's like 50 years old.
I mean, I'm looking up right now. I'm seeing on Deadline, there's an article from November 15th that says he's the front runner.
This
November
was
24th
an article yesterday.
If you look on IMDb, I think it still says rumored. So, I don't know. I
mean, even if
at some point they've got to start filming
I can't
this
find
movie.
any headline that says confirmed.
Yeah,
no, that wasn't the headline. Let's see. But if you get that blonde girl from Mission Impossible to be Sue Storm, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's only like a decade and a half older than her. So
it still says rumored on IMDb, but this article claimed it was confirmed. I got nothing
honestly,
against them, but hopefully not.
The Fantastic Four movie is equivalent to the checks in the mail. I will believe something when I see something. When they're actually filming people in blue tights, I'll believe this. But this movie was supposed to come out in March of 2024. Okay? And you can blame some stuff on the writer's strike and the actor's strike and all that kind of stuff, but they do not have this together. And I would be stunned if they have a cast to put in front of the camera in May.
Interesting.
And I would say this: they might find a way to make to not make a good Fantastic Four movie, but like feels to me like there's a lot riding on this one, and they got to get this right.
I would think so for sure.
So,
and that's what I'm saying. It's like we've already had one Fantastic Four movie made just in order to keep the license, and which is arguably the worst of all of them. They're not required to make this movie. They can make this movie whenever they want, other than the fact that they just keep teasing that they're going to make this movie. Yeah.
But with everything that's gone on over the last 2 years with Marvel, it feels like this is an opportunity for them that they can't squander.
Right. But we're also looking at a year, 2024, with one Marvel movie that is barely a Marvel movie on the board. So if this is coming out the following year, this is going to have to be a game changer, and it just doesn't sound that way.
This article, I just checked it. It did say confirmed, but that doesn't mean that the article is correct. But anyway,
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, I agree. There, like I said, like you said, there's a lot of riding on this, especially with all the other nonsense they're dealing with Avengers basically in what seems like limbo at this point.
And I guess this isn't a fair thing to say, really, but he's got so much going on right now, Pedro. Like, do you really want somebody who's so recognizable in that role? I mean, I know you want somebody, you want a name actor, I get that, but I mean, he's in The Last of Us, he's in The Mandalorian, he's got other stuff going. Like, he's super busy.
He's in the next Gladiator,
right?
Yeah, he's super busy.
Is he the star of it? Like.
And I just can't look at him and not think Maxwell Lord from Wonder Woman. No, it's totally not true. No.
I don't know. We'll see.
If you're going to, as they're supposedly saying, if you're going to make this very Sue Storm-centric, which I wouldn't disagree with because it's something they haven't tried before at least, don't go with somebody who's going to steal the, going to steal the show from that. It could be anybody. I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be interesting. They got to get their act together for sure.
Eventually, we'll see. I should say
because there's a lot. They're in a slump across the board. They got to do something good. Yeah. So, what else do you got?
6 days from now, we will know whether Echo is good or bad, or I will know because I'll probably watch all 5 hours of it.
That's right. They're dropping all 5 episodes in one shot, right?
Yep. Which my current spin, and this is my own spin on this, is I think this is one of those things that is not going to get going until like episode 3, and I think that's why.
And you love that,
and I think that's what this is. I think they'd have a lot of drop off after.
But I also think they've
2.
written this off already before it's even aired, and that's why they're just dropping the whole thing.
You say that, Barry, but there's a lot of promotion going on. There's tons of interviews. There's tons. I
haven't seen a thing.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen a lot of stuff. There's clips being released. There's stuff with the director that I saw today. The Sons of Bitches came out with another Daredevil costume, which means I'm on the hook for another Hot Toys figure. I haven't even got.
There's been nothing.
I haven't even got the ketchup and mustard one yet.
I've seen no TV ads. Has anyone seen TV ads?
No.
I haven't seen. No, there's a TV spot that has Daredevil in it. I haven't seen it, but I've seen like clips from it.
Not that I watched that. I watched some TV.
Yeah.
It should be in the Big Bang Theory. I watch that, every evening. It should be. That's a good place to put it.
I mean, it's also coming out on Disney Plus and Hulu, so they didn't even make it a Disney Plus exclusive.
That's interesting. Barry, I not heard that. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, yep.
Is that the first series to do that?
Yes.
That's weird.
That is weird.
Well, I think that they're just trying to get as many eyeballs on it as they can.
Right. Is that also that they've got no new content for Hulu because of the writer's strike and the...
I don't see how... Wait, they just bought... Did Disney buy it out from Comcast? I think so.
I think they're in the process of doing that, yeah.
They don't need both services. They'll probably add a Hulu channel on Disney Plus or something, like they have a National Geographic channel. I don't know. Although Hulu exists as a alternative to TV, but I don't. That's a whole business.
Yeah.
Who cares? Anyway, you know what I do care about? Not Fanboy Collectibles yet, but I read this yesterday. They're making, those little golden books, the little kids' books with the gold spine?
Yeah.
They're making an Alien little golden book that says A is for Alien, like Alien, Ripley and Alien.
Yep.
There's little drawings of the Alien and Ripley. It's actually very cute. I think I'd like to have that.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so on this subject, Barry brought this up 2 weeks ago. Steamboat Willie. Okay.
Did you see the trailer?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what happened to
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering why that came out. It went in the public domain like a year or two ago.
And just so we know, in 2034 and 2035, Superman and then Batman, public domain.
Oh, it's that far away? I thought it was closer.
No, that's not that far away. It's a decade away, and it's all bets are off at that point, people.
A murdering spree. Mickey Mouse. No. Should we put Mickey Mouse in our logo now?
I think we should.
I think we're allowed to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're totally allowed to.
Yep. So
what's the name of this movie? Oh, Mickey's Mousetrap. Mickey's Mousetrap.
Oh no,
And
there's
he's a
another
murderer.
one. There's another one that's about the steamboat. There's something.
The one I saw was the Mousetrap.
No, I think it's the same movie. There was a whole bunch of stuff in the trailer that talked about Steamboat Willie, but I think the movie's called Mickey's Mousetrap, and it's a horror movie. And the killer is wearing a Steamboat Willie costume.
Oh no, this is something else entirely. There's an animated thing somebody's doing that's yeah. Anyways, we'll be seeing a lot.
Oh,
of
then there's two things then, because there's definitely a horror movie. The trailer dropped on the 1st as soon as it went into public domain.
Yeah. So
we need to make let's put them on our logo this week.
Yes, we should totally do that. Oh my
Why
God.
not?
You can imagine just like there's probably
riding he could ride the
entire
spaceship.
department at Disney that's just like going out of their minds right now. It's like, yeah.
Well, they've had a long time to prep for it, so.
They have. They absolutely have. So.
What are they going to do? Well, you know who's awesome? Fanboy Collectibles. If you go to their front page, there's a ton of statues. And we've said this before. If you're an action figure collector, don't be down on statues because there's a lot of cool ones. Just off the top of my head, the Wrath of Khan, Indiana Jones, Ahsoka, Hulk, Matrix, Spidey, all kinds of statues, busts, plus Hot Toys and Sideshow and Pops and Hasbro and Kotobukiyas and all that stuff. They've got everything. If you got some of your some monetary gifts for the holidays, perfect place to spend it. They got stuff just waiting for you to spend your money on.
Todd, what do you think of that Iron Man Mark II?
I was just going to say,
oh my
I
God,
have bought
it
this
looks amazing.
figure twice now. Okay, I bought it in plastic. I bought it in die cast. This is amazing.
Yeah, I might need this one.
God, it's yeah.
Good stuff.
There you go. Not only a fan, a customer as well, or something.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think that's quite how that expression
It's
goes.
not what it is.
No. I do not think this means what you think it means.
That's right. Yeah.
But yes, we are. Not only are we in business with them, we are fans, and we are
Patrons
patrons
yes.
of Fanboy Collectibles. So check them out. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Check them out online at fanboycollectibles.com and tell them the Regular Joe sent you.
I was a little disappointed this week because I actually got a note from our friend Troy over at Fanboy that something I had pre-ordered last year has been canceled by the manufacturer. So it's not Troy's fault, but Diamond was doing a G.I. Joe Adventure Team statue, if you remember.
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, I guess they didn't get enough orders.
Not enough solicitation, yeah.
They're not it's not coming out, so bummer. But
I have wondered that on a couple of Hot Toys figures. And I think if they don't have a lot of orders, they just really back burner something. But I haven't seen anything that they've solicited that's canceled, and Troy may know otherwise, but that's one of those, because there's some things that, like I said, have taken forever, absolutely forever. Like
Troy's awesome customer service, he let me know right away about it, but it's not his fault.
But
yeah, most places wouldn't even tell you.
Yeah, it would just never ever show up.
Yeah,
so,
and then you could go looking for your big bad deposit. Yep.
Exactly. Okay, Rebel Moon, part 1 apparently.
It is a Child of Fire, part 1.
There'll be spoilers.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's hard to spoil a movie that's basically derivative of everything that's ever come out.
Of everything. Okay, let's go around the room. Everyone name something it's derivative of. Todd?
Lord of the Rings.
Barry?
Seven Samurai.
Oh, I was going to say Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yes.
Which is, and okay, since you said, I'll say, and the cantina scene.
Oh my God, yes. There's a lot of Star Wars in there. There's a lot of other.
I mean, it was almost like.
Except it was a different type of cantina.
Dr. Evesian is now solicits men. Not that there's anything wrong with
grabbing
that.
people by the crotch instead of threatening them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so derivative of so many things.
I wanted to like it. I really did. And in parts of me did like it. Like if I shut my brain off, it was parts of it were fun to look at. And
I did shut my brain off, and because I literally did not start watching until last night, and I just finished it before the show, and I had zero stakes. I had zero stake in it. I had who cares? But it was fine. Do I think it's as good as Zack Snyder thinks it is? Absolutely not. Do I think it's as important as Zack Snyder thinks it is? There's no freaking way.
Yeah,
no, and if it really was pitched to Kathleen Kennedy as a Star Wars movie and she rejected it as the rumors have it,
well, if that's true, it feels like Rogue One. Like we made that movie already.
It kind of does. And I was going to say the other movie that it's derivative of is Rogue One, in some ways.
Yeah.
Getting the sketchy people together and which itself is derivative. Again, there's nothing new here.
But that you could say that about the Ocean's movies, but they're way more fun.
Yeah, but the Ocean's movies are right. But yes, they absolutely are. But they do some very clever things in there, and here they don't. In the Ocean's movies, not to get too far down that track, but what they're not showing you is as interesting as what they're showing you. And then there's and that's the hook there. So here,
right, and they always try to keep you guessing. And in this one, the things that they tried to keep you guessing on were pretty obvious and didn't really keep you guessing.
What was I guessing about? I didn't feel like there was any.
The only thing that came as any kind of minor surprise was that guy turned on them at the end of the movie.
Han Solo, you mean? Han Solo turned on them?
Han Solo turned on them.
There's a betrayal in there, and I think that's... I was actually, when that happened, I was like, oh, already? Because I knew...
Malcolm
I actually thought that if that was going to happen, it would have been in the second half, not in the
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I knew one of them was going to betray them, because that always happens when you bring these kind of groups together. And... it's like, oh, so you've already tipped your hand, and
but he was probably the biggest name in the movie, so I didn't think that's why it came more of a surprise. Because
the other thing I will say is, okay, can we just stop dressing bad guys like Nazis? It's so obvious. It's like...
I was going to say it's derivative of World War II. And they have British accents.
It's like, the Second World War's over. Get over it, okay? The shortcut to making someone evil doesn't necessarily have to be to dress them like Nazis. And here they went even harder at it than they've done in Star Wars. It was just...
it is a very visual cue that just sets a tone. But I'm with you. I agree with you. But I'm sure they could have come up... the Empire's costumes, while somewhat derivative of Nazis weren't as on the nose.
No,
as
and that's
these
what I'm saying.
costumes are.
It's there's a kind of Teutonic, cut to the uniforms and all this kind of stuff. But this was just so there, and it was just like, yeah.
Well, and
It was
so Todd and I talked about this a little bit at your house the other day, Dave. But the most interesting character to me was the robot, and he was barely in it.
I know. I'm like, okay, that was totally that's right at a Rogue One. A war, a fighting robot that's turned into
A pacifist.
In a number of other current science fiction novels that's been a very big theme is like a war robot that's repurposed. We're going to see this.
But the whole after the first act, you never saw him.
But Rogue One did it so effectively because you had K2SO was a wise ass. Like, he would grab her by the throat, throw her to the ground, and said, "Congratulations, you're rescued."
Yeah.
This guy was like, "I don't fight anymore. I'm putting horns on my head, and I'm going off into the woods." But I thought his character was going to be interesting, and maybe in the second half he plays a bigger role. But damn, I wanted to see more with him.
Well, if he had gone with them, which could have been helpful, it would have been very much more like Rogue One, But
yeah. I
get again. I'm not going to bash the guy, and I don't know if that he's on my list, but like, what's up with this guy? Do you realize you talk about with your director's cuts and your special editions and all this bullshit, like you're this greatest guy, but dude, you're making a movie with hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm assuming doesn't have an original thought in it at all.
They spent money on this. You see it in the production. They spent a lot of money on it.
It feels very volume-like.
It's very volume-like, but also
and I don't know if it is or not.
There's this 300 vibe from it. The
fake background.
The fake background. No, but I'm saying the slow motion battle shots and
a lot of slow motion.
And it's just like I'm just watching this, and it just felt so familiar in so many different ways, but not good ways. Where you're comfortable with it, or you're just in that groove. It was just like, and you were saying, just kind of put your mind on pause and just kind of watch it. I kept trying to do that, but then I'd be like, really? You went there? This is what you're doing?
I was able to do that because who cares? It's not like if it was a Star Wars movie, there's so much more at stake. Here, it's like, whatever.
It just felt like it had so many things that it had going for it, and that I felt like it should have been a good movie. And I'm not quite sure where all the different ways it went wrong, but maybe. And I'm more of a Zack Snyder apologist than you guys are. I tend to like his stuff, and I tend to like his director's cuts more than his theatrical cuts. But I don't know what a 4-hour version of this is going to be. And they say, I said earlier, it's a totally different movie.
There could be a ton. But, the funny thing is, I don't know how the mindset you go. And I don't hate Zack Snyder. I'm just not very impressed by him. I think he's much more impressed by himself.
I was just going to say, but Dave, he's impressed enough by himself that you don't
exactly.
have to be.
But that's almost why it's like, okay, fine. I know what I'm walking into. I'm walking into something that is built up to be the X, and it's really like, M.
So I think this
it's nothing special.
I think this is a Zack Snyder movie for people who love Zack Snyder movies, because there's nothing here that he hasn't done or tried to do before, and probably did it better somewhere else.
I'm just not expecting anything from him, anything impressive.
I just don't know that the basic premise of these space Nazis who have all this technology can't figure out how to grow food. They've got to go steal it from these farmers.
I think though the idea was
praise
not so much
themselves
that
as
they
the
can't.
only things we're good at is farming.
Yeah.
We can't do anything else, but that's the one thing we can do. And if we convince them that we'll give them just enough, they were beyond naive. But I just didn't get why these guys they can come out of space through a space vagina, which I'm sorry, that space portal was a vagina.
That's exactly what I thought.
But they can figure all that out, but they can't grow food?
Yeah,
I
agree.
know.
And the other
I don't
thing
know is it so much growing food. I just don't think that was on their priority list. I think there are a lot of militaries throughout history, very successful militaries throughout history, who just plundered their supply lines instead of actually building them. So
that's true.
It's I think that's one of the things. But I think there's a great cast here, or a very good cast that was squandered. And
I like Sophia Boutella. She's been good in other things too.
Great,
she was really great in Kingsman. And she is very physical. So I like the fighting and all that was okay. But it's just another one of these.
Let's just not use him now.
Yeah, but it's just another one of these. This is a super highly trained assassin who's in hiding as a farmer, and I don't know. I really had a whole problem from the very beginning, the whole premise.
Yeah.
But one of the things I kept on thinking is everyone in the cast felt like they were sent to play Survivor for a month, lose every bit of weight they had extra. Everyone was thin and ripped.
Yeah.
Right? And I think I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know if you know, back when I used to compete in bodybuilding, before you go and do a competition, you dehydrate yourself so your skin sticks to you. That's what I think Zack Snyder's nobody drink water for 2 days. Because everyone is just totally ripped.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I know, Dave, you watched Billions, so wasn't it really weird to see Corey Stoll in that as a farmer in the beginning?
Well, I think, yeah.
That was weird, too.
He's miscast to me.
No, that was he's a buddy of somebody kind of thing, because that role was so tiny.
Yeah, he seemed miscast in that character.
Anyone who has a decent role died quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get Anthony Hopkins to do the voice of the robot, and you barely use him.
I kept thinking, that guy sounds like Anthony Hopkins, because there's no way Anthony Hopkins would do this.
Right.
They mailed him a script and a tape recorder.
I wonder if this 4-hour cut has a lot more in it that, you go, oh, now I get how they got some of these people.
I think that's BS. Put out the cut you want. First of all, and I'm not a guy who likes a short movie. I like, a good movie that's 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm perfectly happy about. I do not like a 90-minute movie, but you don't need to make a 4-hour movie. It's not necessary. Yeah. If you can't tell the story, I'll even give you 2 hours and 25 minutes. This was 2:15, but it felt like the new subject felt like the opposite of Dune, where you're like, Dune, this is great. Oh, what? It's
over?
2 parts.
Yeah,
I knew this was 2 parts, and it felt like it was.
It did.
Ending in the middle.
This is a prelude, okay, and I don't believe for a second that this is 2 parts. I think he's probably going to draw this out a lot longer than that. The bad guy, was he compelling enough that they had to resuscitate him at the end? It's I'm like, okay, he's dead. Now we'll move on to somebody else as the figurehead for this evil empire, whatever you want to call it. And it's
he's Darth Vader.
He's not Darth Vader.
But I think you had to.
I'm not saying
I think
he is,
they had to revive him, because otherwise, to have a completely separate villain in the second half seems even weirder.
I'm of both minds of this. I think, one, if you're going to have a bad guy, let's be a consistent bad guy. But he was certainly evil enough, but he looked like maybe 3 other guys. And if he didn't have that little freaking Post Malone tattoo on his face, I would have been like, is that the guy? So there's not...
So he's basically the guy who's not Cillian Murphy?
He's not... There's nothing special about him.
He was generic bad guy number 3.
He kind of was. And it's and again, he's a sadist. Okay, good. And he dresses like a Nazi. Okay, so a 14-year-old could have come up with everything we've seen so far.
I needed a little... Maybe they give him some mechanical parts and it'll be more like Darth Vader. I think that's what he needs. He needs mechanical arms.
He's going to come back mostly mech. That now we got something going.
Well, at first I thought he was a robot because they plugged that thing into his hip, which was weird.
That was weird.
I didn't understand what that whole situation.
So he's going to be more not like Vader. He's going to come back as Saw Gerrera from Rogue One, He's got to sniff on the mask and be like,
Yep.
breathe the rebellion.
I wasn't sure what all that stuff plugged into him was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
That one scene
really
with
care.
like the alien parasite thing that was like
Yeah,
but
that's kind of creepy. That was
but even
creepy.
that, it's like, you've got this like, now it's not an excuse why he's the bad guy, but it's also like we want to make him not even, we've got to separate him from humanity. Okay, he can't just be the same species or the same whatever as these people and just be evil. There's got to be something, that's just hideous
that
about
scene
him.
gave me Dune vibes. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you go back
that's.
to-
I was just going to say,
yeah.
Baron
Yeah.
Harkonnen right there.
Yeah.
That's the, it's yeah.
So I just
It
looked
was
it up on
interesting-
both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 24% tomato meter, 60% audience score, and IMDb it's got a 5.7 out of 10.
But
So-
the director's cut is just going to push this right up. So
I am going to watch the director's cut. Of
course you will.
I hope it's better. But
I'll wait to hear what you say. I invested 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'll watch the second part again with zero expectations. It's fine. It's something to watch. I like the idea of Jupiter being sort of in your sky at all times. I thought that was interesting.
I just wanted
But,
it to be
like,
better.
whatever.
I really did. I had high expectations.
Oh,
for it.
really?
Yeah.
Wait. You had high hopes for it?
I did. As weird as it's going to sound,
Barry,
I
high
like
hopes or high expectations?
Well, I like the idea that he had something that he thought was good enough to be a Star Wars movie, and he pitched it
See,
to
it's got some Star Wars stink
and
on
that
it. That's why.
Lucasfilm wasn't interested, and that he was going to go out and make his own Star Wars. I really was hoping that was going to be a good new franchise.
So I will say I had high hopes. I did not have high expectations. I really
Yeah, maybe
hope-
that's a better way to
I
say
would
it.
love
but
to see. I would love to see a new franchise start from a clean sheet of paper that people can get on board with without having seen 40 years of previous films or 10 years of 29 other films or 32 films, whatever it is. It would be great right now to have a starting point where you could pick up on something and go with it. This is not that.
Yeah, I just had no high hopes, and because I'm just not impressed with anything he's really done.
So
to be honest with you,
and I would just say it's watchable, and
it's watchable.
if you're into sci-fi, don't overlook it just because it's something to watch. But it's not great.
Yeah, there's a lot of Dune in this.
Right.
When
There's a
think
lot
about
of
it.
Dune in this. There's a lot of everything in this. But I will say, if this came from a much less experienced director, I would be a lot more forgiving of it.
I would give you that.
But this is somebody who knows not to do what he did here. Okay, I mean, there's Harry Potter scenes in this thing. There's like this thing was you could have put 12 people in a room and asked them what scenes they like best in their favorite movies, and then made this film. And
Well, that scene you're talking about, where the guy has to tame the griffin to earn his
hippogriff.
freedom.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
Yep.
he tames the griffin, earns his freedom, and then his slaver gets killed anyway. Like, they could have just
That
gone in
was just-
shooting
that made
and killed
no
the guy and
sense.
taken this guy with them. But they did this whole stupid scene where this guy tames the griffin, doesn't take it with him, and then the griffin just kills the slaver. Like,
That was just
The whole thing was dumb.
He must have set out as like, okay, there's an outline. There's 12 parts to this movie. I'm gonna assign a movie that I like to every part. I mean, it's 20 parts.
and I'm going to give the female samurai 2 lightsabers.
Yeah.
They smoked though, so it's okay.
I guess, but I mean, Ahsoka much?
And the other thing is like the whole basis of this thing is like, here's this moon or this village on a moon that had some problems, and all of a sudden they're going to rebel. Okay, you're rebelling against, Captain Post Malone or whatever that guy is, and let's say you kill him. There's 50 other ships just like that one. What do you think
and
they're
that,
going to
and
do?
that is just it. And it's like, you don't think they're going to find your moon, and so, yeah. This is the thing. It's just
It's not like it's like 1,000 rebel, 1,000 outworld, outer rim planets are all being rebellious. It's like,
most of
Very
this,
stall and 20 guys.
most of this was getting the team together. Okay, most of this was getting the team together. You could have handled that in essentially a montage with a decent narrative, and then had
They
to do
did that
something.
they did that in the Magnificent Seven, so you can't do it.
Well,
here.
but it's like this entire thing was like, okay, get this person, get this person, get this person. This was Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, it was like,
The guy. Don't forget to get the guy who's the guy from Last of the Mohicans. He was in there too.
So we get these super capable people who are just apparently in a rut and waiting for someone to come and enlist them for a suicide mission. That's basically the plot of this. So it's like, no.
All right, we spent more than enough time. I give it a 5 because I will watch the next one, but I really don't care.
I'm in like 4 category. I don't know. I mean, I finish everything, and I found it hard finishing this. And even the only thing worth watching is the end, and even that was hard. So
I'm with Todd on this one. I give it a 5.
Will you watch the second one?
I'm with Dave. I give it a 5.
yeah.
Yeah,
Todd,
I'll watch the director's cut when it comes out.
Of course, we're not asking you, Barry, because we know you.
I thought you were asking me.
So Barry, report back to us on the director's cut and tell us whether he salvages it.
I'll be curious to see if I can make it through 4-hour version.
I'm curious to
You
hear
put
the
the words
explanation.
director's cut on a piece of shit and Barry will watch.
It's
I'm waiting for
Or
Ron
the word
Howard's
Star
Willow
Wars.
director's cut.
yeah, I was going to leave that alone. One of the more unkind comments I've ever made. But anyways, so are they going to release that right before part 2?
They said it was a 3-month holdback, and then they were going to release. I don't know when part 2 is supposed to come.
Part 2 is April 19th, I think.
So I think it's coming out before part 2. Then, yeah. Which also, I mean, again, I don't know how much to read into that statement where they said, "Oh, the extended cut is a totally different movie." Why would you release a totally different movie before you release the second half of the?
You know what though? It's going to have it's going to same introduction. It's going to go the same place. It's just going to take even longer.
Now let me ask you this: speaking of the introduction, I kind of was like, I'm already not following. What the hell? What are you saying? You know, it just got a little long-winded. I'm like, what are they talking about? Do I need to actually know this?
Well, and it was so obvious after the first 5 minutes that one farmer guy was in love with her, but then that never played out, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's still around, so maybe
I know he's still around.
He saved her life. Maybe he's going to get some action.
Yeah. So, I would say the little restraining droid things felt very prequels. I mean, that looks like something.
Yeah.
That really looks like something like the droidicars or something like that. But one of those things where it just, it looks like something that didn't make the cut in the prequels.
I thought it was cool that the droids are like in crates
boxes,
and then they just pop out. That was different.
Not unique to this, but yeah, it's again, there's been a lot of good robot sci-fi in the last decade, and all those ideas were in here too. So, it's just at least written. But I'm saying it's yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's
Part
okay.
2 could be amazing. So,
but part 2 is going to be the crew that we just built going after this bad guy. Like, I mean,
Well, no, it's not. They think the bad guy's dead. They think they're fine. It's the bad guy. It's the Empire Strikes Back.
Well, but they're going to end up fighting, is my point. Like,
The Empire's coming back for them. That's exactly what's going on.
So wait a minute. So this was... I got to think about that, Dave, now. So do they now think they're done?
They blew up the Death Star.
It's not the Death Star. That's like one
no,
ship out of a...
I'm just saying.
They showed...
the Rebels.
I mean, I don't know. Did you watch the trailer for the second one?
No.
It's them training their little farm friends on how to fight.
That's Magnificent Seven. Also,
Yeah.
No,
This
the
was
Rebels,
that really good episode
the Rebels
of The
had
Mandalorian where they had to fight
a victory.
ATST.
And now here comes Darth Vader and his mechanical 2 arms, since they were broken in half. It's coming back.
So what I want to know is what
gonna be
grows
teddy bears
on
in
that
the third
moon
one.
that's so valuable that they don't just come back and nuke this place from space. I mean, well, why are you bother going to come down and fight? Fight.
There's the 20 people there.
That's what I'm saying.
Seriously?
It's like
Nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
that's it.
It is.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe episode 2
we could
will
take
be,
your crops, but we're going to set an
5
example
minutes.
instead, and then move on to the next franchise.
That's the
They
other
could
thing.
go down
like,
with their machine guns, kill all the farmers, and just take all the food.
Yeah.
there's 30 people in that community, and you got a ship that probably has 1,000 people, and you're going to take their grain
Yeah.
and feed what, a tiny percentage of your people.
Except that, and I was thinking about that too. I was thinking
They were going to plant it on the ship, like in Martian.
no.
They're going to.
What I was thinking
Mark
is
Watney's going to be there to be their botanist.
they're probably not growing for their own sustainability. They're probably growing to sell, and they're basically being left with with nothing for themselves, but also nothing to sell to other
Right. So basically, it's a one-shot deal.
Because again, if this guy could take grain or whatever and go sell it to the rebels, they are selling to outside customers. Okay, this is not just.
But not a ton, just their extras. They said it.
Yeah. Well.
All right. So Dave probably didn't see this, but Todd, there's a chance. Did you ever see Bug's Life, the Pixar movie?
Of course.
This is essentially the plot of A Bug's Life. Now that I'm thinking of it, right? I mean, they are harvesting, and the evil bugs come to take their grain, and they fight back against them, and at the end of it, they win. And it's a band of circus bugs that help train them, just like it was Magnificent Seven.
Jeez Louise.
You've
It's
just
literally
ruined
A
a Bug's
Bug's
Life
Life
for me, Barry. I thought it was all original. Wow. Actually, be honest with you,
man.
I have that and Ants confused in my head. I can't keep one from the other.
Bug's Life is way better than Ants.
I know that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's essentially the same storyline now that I think about it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I wanted this to be better than it was. I wanted to see some personal growth from him, and this basically is the director's cut of Justice League all over again. It's like, oh, what I want to do and what I like, and that's all that matters.
I wonder if the director's cut's just going to be the same movie, but with a lot more of it in slow motion.
Yeah, that's right. So instead of 2 hours and 20 minutes, it's 3 hours and something because it's all
They just
slow
slowed it all down. Yeah.
Everything is slow motion.
perfect.
Barry, that's brilliant. I think that's what we have to look forward to. Report back on us.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, changing subjects while we have a minute or two. Barry, I did watch the Ben Burt Adam Savage conversation on Tested.
Wasn't
Did
it
you watch
amazing?
that? It did. I didn't watch the Lauren Peterson
Oh,
one.
the
I don't
Lauren
know if
Peterson
that-
one is so good too. You got to watch those.
But then they just did, today they released sort of a 20-minute walkthrough of that 310, whatever, 30
Ooh, I have to watch that.
studios. So basically, Industrial Light and Magic was, after it moved out of L.A., I guess, right?
It was in L.A. and then
Van Nuys.
Yep, and
moved
then it
up
moved
to
up
Marin
to
County.
Marin in San Francisco.
Into this building. Then I think they did it was this place called Kerner Optical. This is on Kerner Boulevard. Then Industrial Light and Magic moved up there. Then when Skywalker Ranch moved, didn't ILM move there before they moved to San Francisco?
No, there was talk of building a facility on the ranch to move ILM, but they never did it.
Anyway, so this place went to another company, and
ILM ended up moving to
Presidio.
Lucas to Presidio, and now it's actually in San Francisco at the Lucasfilm offices.
That's in the Presidio, though.
Right? Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. It is in the Presidio.
Yeah. But anyway, so they walk through this places like this is where we would screen the movies. This is where we would edit. This is where it's actually really interesting.
Right.
And Ben
so,
Burt.
so what? Just to finish that off. So what ended up happening was when ILM moved to the Presidio, another company took over the ILM facility.
Yes.
It ended up being called, what is it, 3210 Studios?
3210, which is the address.
Right. And unfortunately, the landlord there, we talked about this a few months ago, the landlord is repurposing the building, and so they had to shut down 3210.
Well, they had to shut down because they claimed they weren't getting enough business because of the pandemic and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it's really cool. Ben Burt, who I'm super impressed with. I mean, he's like one of the original dudes, and he looks great and is really interesting to talk to.
The stories he tells about, and I had never heard him talk about being at George's house in the basement working under a desk doing sounds.
Yeah.
Like that was that whole conversation was amazing.
But there's 2 videos of Ben Burt at these studios, and they take you through. And literally, so Ben Burt was the sound guy and then turned into an editor and edited the prequels. But, boy, they go through, like, this is how we used to edit, and it's, cutting stuff.
That's
and
cool.
It's really interesting. And the other thing, so Ben Burt went to college, I don't know where, but was always into filmmaking. So he was making films. He made a World War I airplane fight film. And I'm not exactly sure where he's from, and he did this as a kid, like in his late teens
I'm
or in
pretty sure
college.
he said he was from the Westchester area or the upstate New York area.
Okay, well, the point is, so they're like, how would a kid making sort of a home movie be able to make airplane footage he went to that place in Rhinebeck and filmed everything there with the aerodome in Rhinebeck.
Oh, that's
talked
cool.
about.
Yeah, and he talks about that. Him and his friends convinced the guy to let them use the airplanes on the ground, but then he also took them up and let them shoot footage in the air.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We need to all go there sometime.
We do. We've talked about it, and it's
very cool. And it's one of these things that it won't be there forever.
Yeah.
No, I was very impressed with that interview that he did with Ben Burt, and the Lauren Peterson one's equally as good. So I'll have to watch the new one, but I'm glad because Adam is the right guy. He worked there. He knows all those guys, and I'm happy to know that he went and did those interviews and that he's releasing them now because it's good stuff, really good stuff.
Yeah, no, and Ben really, he's from Jamesville, New York, which I guess is sort of upstate. He really comes across great. I mean, he's smart. He remembers everything. Yeah, it was really interesting. So worth watching for sure.
Yeah, it's on the tested.
And he literally invented sounds that you hear, in your nerdy life every single day. He invented, like the droids and the
TIE fighters
lightsabers
and the lightsabers and the blasters
and Chewbacca and the boulder from Raiders and all kinds of stuff. So
cool.
I actually I mean, people should watch it, so go watch it. But he talks about the pressure that he was under and how it affected him. And I thought that was really interesting too, that he was pretty open about how, much it affected him, which I never knew that either. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. I wish I had known more about him. We met him at one of those celebrations.
Yeah, one of the celebrations we got to meet him. Lauren Peterson too, like a bunch of those guys. We got real lucky with that. It was one of the ones in Florida. Those guys were all there, and they just they weren't supposed to be signing autographs, but they just showed up in the autograph area and were hanging out, signing autographs and stuff, and meeting people.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, you told me you ran into Lauren Peterson in an elevator, right? At the hotel.
I distinctly remember that must have whichever one I went with Mark, and this was before there was YouTube. I think I didn't know. I just knew his picture, and I'm like, Mark, this is the guy who invented stuff in Star Wars. He built a lot of ships, and he's like, shake the hand that built the Millennium Falcon. He said to Mark, which is awesome.
Cool. Which I also never knew that
when I met him.
Lauren Peterson is the person that's responsible for introducing superglue into model making for the special effects industry, like crazy glue.
Oh, really?
Before that, they were using 2-part epoxies on everything. And Lauren Peterson knew about this new kind of glue that, instantly bonded stuff, and he brought it in, and that changed everything, apparently.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, go check out Tested. Adam's got interviews with all those guys. Good stuff. Any last thoughts? I haven't asked that in a while.
I don't have any last thoughts this week, thankfully, because usually a last thought means somebody that we care about
Somebody's
passed
dead.
away. But I think we're okay so far this year.
Okay. Well, this year, as we're into day 3.
Yeah, we're 3 days into the year. Nobody's died yet.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next week or something more stuff, or we're taking a week off, or not next week.
I think we're doing a show next week, as long as you guys
We'll do a
can.
show next week.
It's the week after that.
We have something great planned.
We do.
I would imagine.
Epic.
Yeah.
So
Why don't
stay
you guys
tuned for
fill
that.
me in on what that is after we're done recording.
We'll do
Yeah,
that.
I will. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.